Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to a conversation about peace with my wonderful, amazing, dear friend, Gary Stuart, who is a master constellation facilitator. Oh, he is just an author, a speaker. He's just incredibly brilliant, and I'm so thrilled to share him with you today. Gary, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, MarBeth. And you are equally all of the above and more as well.
Well, I know we have so much to talk about. Well, first of all, I would love for you to share with our viewers what constellation healing is.
Sure.
It's
Just
so
so our
amazing.
people who don't know about it, has nothing to do with astrology. That term just stuck with it because the pictures of the stars in the sky will give you a bear or Gemini or whatever the picture is. So constellations are actually a multi-dimensional picture of your family system. Your grandmother may be over there, your father might be in front of you, a dead person may be here grabbing your attention on a soul level. So it really goes to the soul level of a family system, and that includes the entire history. So, where we're talking about peace today, a lot of family systems aren't at peace because they had to survive the Armenian genocide or Auschwitz or the potato famine in Ireland. So there's lots of lingering echoes of what our families went through that we carry to this day. Why? Because we have pieces of their DNA that endured the famine, that endured the Holocaust. So science has proven PTSD can be inherited. That means we have the stress reaction without the experience because our DNA had that experience with our forebear.
Wait a second, you're saying that PTSD can be inherited.
Yes, that's been
amazing.
scientifically proven now.
Wow.
Genes act as though they're having the experience without having it because their ancestor had the same experience.
Wow.
You have the stress reaction without the cause. Without the cause, it's like locked into our DNA. The beauty of that is we have a chance to resolve it with this constellation process that basically makes the unconscious conscious. Then we can make a choice. Oh, I can honor my ancestor who suffered in the concentration camps with great love. We're not judging them at all, with great love and acceptance that, wow, in spite of that, the gift of life passed on to me. Let me do something sacred, profound, and great in their memory.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, now I've experienced the constellation healing, well, several times, and I find that it's really quite extraordinary. And I work with a lot of those different forces myself, but in a completely different way. And, it's just so interesting when you incorporate the different facets. You bring in people from the circle to embody the ancestors, like the mother and the father, or siblings, or children. So the person is represented in a three-dimensional manner.
Absolutely. And all human beings are empathic and intuitive, so a total stranger doesn't have to be trained in this. They just listen to their biology, and I do all the fancy footwork because I see with this field of the greater field of consciousness. So consciousness is like an onion. We have our current consciousness, which we're aware of, or you could say an onion or an iceberg is more accurate. Under the iceberg, 90% of our subconscious mindset includes the ancestral dramas and traumas. We're in the sun right now enjoying physical reality, but we're standing on the shoulders of those dead giants, so to speak, who had definite experiences. And ultimately, no matter what happened in your family system, we view as good because you're here. The survival mechanism worked. Luckily, they like to have sex, and we're here in spite of it all. So life goes on. Life goes on.
Wow. Yeah, that's a beautiful explanation. And what I really love about the work that you do is your compassion. I just feel like there's just so much compassion.
Absolutely.
I've seen you just tear up and cry as you're just receiving all the information as it's unfolding.
Yeah. It's a very sacred place to be, and I feel, I'm not saying this to brag, but I feel the dead trust me. They know I'm not going to judge them or disrespect them, and I feel I get the information a lot quicker, a lot deeper than most. Number one, because I'm not afraid. Number two, My heart is open. A lot of the newer facilitators, they kind of don't open their hearts to, they look at it like a mental thing. I'm trying to fix this person's problem. It's no, it's take that family in your heart, take that dead ancestor who was victimized in your heart, and then give their grandchildren, great-grandchildren love, because that's who you're working with, the great-grandchildren of someone who suffered. So it's such a sacred. I'm almost helping them heal their own family, and I'm a middleman.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a middleman for them. So it's a supreme honor.
It is. And you know, I truly believe that forgiveness is really the key to peace, and posted that today, that forgiveness is the key to peace and happiness and love. And what you're doing is you're actually going back into the ancestral issues, forward into future issues. And the act of release in the present moment is actually that forgiveness, which clears in all directions of time. So how
absolutely
amazing.
And we also find acceptance for things as they were, like in like say in a Jewish scenario, we can't undo what Hitler did. What we can do is through accepting that, okay, something good happened from that. They survived that. They passed life on. So let's accept the goodness rather than focus on the trauma. So many people get so hung up on the trauma, and I'm not taking trauma lightly at all, but it's like they get stuck in the past with that. So if we can accept, oh, I emanated from that trauma. Okay, I wasn't even born when it happened. Let me move forward and do something positive in their memory, because life is really miraculous how it can transfer from a traumatized generation to the next. And I think the whole Jewish culture is the epitome of that. I always say the Jewish flame will never be put out. It will never be put out.
Well, I experienced or participated in one of your constellations that did have a Holocaust central theme. Yes. And I remember I was holding, and there were a few of us that were holding the what would you call that? The place, like a placeholder for the victims.
Yeah.
At that time.
A representative for the victims. Yes.
And that was very intense.
Yeah. Well, we learn a lot. You and I have the same beliefs that time is a circle. It does appear linear, but the circle is so big we don't see that it actually is a circle. And we have access to the future as much as we do to the past, which really puts us, the present moment, we have a supreme, let's say, choice to make. Every choice we make in the present does affect our future, but that gives us tremendous power. And
it also affects the past.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hence constellations. Yeah, definitely. Well,
not just in constellations, because I found, so much of in the work that I do as well, that when we are, releasing issues that have basically been traumatic for people, they've been holding these issues for so long, and when you clear it, it totally clears the past.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it gives us vitality. People, a lot of people, they say they're coming to constellations to release their problem, blah, blah, blah. My goal is to get them back to the vitality. Their chi is stronger, their health is better. They can really be fully alive, because sometimes a lot of these, let's say, negative ancestral memories, we don't realize we're carrying them, but after they're released, our chi gets this like vital boost of life force. So it really does strengthen our life force and gives us our empowered choice back. And it's all while honoring those who came before.
I know. And I know that this might be a very new concept for some of our viewers. It's really so fascinating to participate in one of Gary's constellation healings. I wanted to talk about something. You did a constellation long distance for me.
Yes,
after I had participated in the live ones. And during the process, when you were telling me about it, you said, the surrogate, your surrogate, because there's a surrogate for me in
Yeah,
the
or
circle.
representative. We call them representatives, but it's a surrogate, especially when the
Yeah,
person's not there, to represent them healing their issue.
right. And the person that was representing me in the circle felt very small next to my mother, the person who was representing my mother. And I said to you, gee, Gary, I thought I already worked through that issue. And so I went back and I did my work. And the next morning I woke up and I had been living in my mom's condo that I had inherited. And I was living there for 11 years. And every time the time came to think about moving, I couldn't do it. Well, that next morning I woke up and it was time to move. Everything was resolved and it was time to move on.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And that's your chi activating in a new way. In a way it empowered you to be you, to create your own life, which you do anyway, but in a deeper sense, not living in the memory or the past with your mother, not to diss her by having your own life, but just to have that freedom to make a new choice.
Yes, absolutely. And who knows, there could be gazillion reasons that are hiding in our subconscious. That's about 90% of the issues that hold us back are in our subconscious.
Yeah.
And they can be ancestral and they can be, we're all energy. So of course there's going to be a major energetic component. But how
past life too. I've had a lot of people, it wasn't this life, it was another lifetime they didn't complete. What I find, I actually was the first person to develop past life constellations. And what I found, most of the deaths that occurred unnaturally are stuck to us. People who died naturally, there's no connection to that past life. Well, there's probably a connection to the life on the spirit level, but when you died unnaturally, the trauma of that death stays with you and manifests in this life over and over again. That's been
yes. Yeah, I've seen that too. It's really interesting. When you say that, I did actually have a recollection of a past life where I did die naturally. But it was just, I just had such a lovely remembrance because I saw my daughter there, and I didn't see her. I saw her as a light and I recognized her as that light, but she was my daughter in that lifetime. And I was my father, and it was in Renaissance Italy. I was a jewelry designer, which I was in this lifetime also.
Yeah, I know.
So it was just very interesting. Yeah, so our past lives really do have quite an effect on us too.
They do. And as we see in constellation, of course, the past history. Now, we differ from other modalities. We don't demonize the perpetrators, and we're not endorsing violence in any way, but we include that negative, I call it a negative catalyst that happened, whether it's Armenia. A lot of people don't know that the famine in Ireland was actually engineered by the British. So the British are like the secret perpetrators to the Irish famine. So we include that opposing energy force because we want it to neutralize. And if you say one's good and one's bad, then you don't have peace and everyone's still fighting, holding on to their righteousness. When we say, okay, this is their fate and destiny, the dark met with the light, this happened historically, then boom, the energy releases and the client's free of it. The history can be in the past because we'll put the both polarities in with unconditional love.
Beautiful.
So then they can neutralize and not be carried.
And create more peace.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Inner peace, outer peace, which is why we're doing this.
Absolutely. And I find also that so often people who have been perpetrators or in this lifetime were victims in the past. It's actually the pattern that goes back and forth. It seems to see that.
It's a cycle, and I even find, even if it wasn't past life, one thing that I know is bedrock. Oprah's "What do you know?" I know that every perpetrator now was victimized first. They're trying to get away from that sense of powerlessness by being the perpetrator. So you could say their perpetrator trained them to be one.
Well, that's how they see power.
Exactly, and it's false power because they're trying to get power back that they lost. So they're actually, the perpetrators are actually the weak ones. They have the appearance of strength, but they're actually weak.
Yes. So by neutralizing it, you're actually creating a level playing field where there is no victim and there's no perpetrator.
Right.
It just is.
And that's where
Oh,
peace resides, right
beautiful.
there. Yeah, peace.
Yeah.
That's where peace is, right there. Just seeing
Yeah.
both sides and being in the, as Buddhism would say, being in the middle way.
I love that. That's really perfect. And so, yeah, so all of this is creating this release, this forgiveness
Mm-hmm.
of suffering,
Mm-hmm.
of pain, of guilt, of shame,
Absolutely.
blame. It just all dissolves. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So let's talk a little bit about the life cycle and its
Mm-hmm.
as a mechanism of change.
Yes. How do you mean that? That's a huge subject we got to squeeze in.
I know, it's
Do you
huge.
mean
We
our
can touch
personal,
on it.
our personal life cycle, or how do you mean it? What context? So I can really laser focus for you.
Let's do our personal life cycle. I like that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, well, I think we all come in with an incarnation and a mission, a soul mission, so to speak, and we want to complete that mission. Now, where I'm different than most people, where I do family work, I think our family system distracted us from our life purpose and mission. And I think they actually, it's like, I think we traded off who we were. It's almost in my latest book, Master Your Universe, I call it self-betrayal. Our family trained us in self-betrayal so we could survive on Earth. Now, the sad news is we forgot why we incarnated because we're so distracted by all the family drama. Why did I come here? Is this what I came to learn? So part of that is the lesson to learn, but the other part of it is to remember why we came here in the first place. And I don't think we came here to suffer with our family or anything else. I think we all came here as part of a divine plan to add, I mean, my divine plan, even though I had a traumatic childhood, is to add unconditional love, leave more love on earth than was here when I came here. That feels like my deepest soul mission. And that
Ooh,
means,
love that.
yeah, and that means having compassion and understanding for both sides and finding that place of inner peace rather than that inner struggle, which I lived with my whole life. So, and you know, we all have that, but it's just changing our focus. What do we really want rather than focusing what we don't want? What do we really want to do while we're here? Because as we know, we're in the third act of our lives right now. So we have to really accomplish what we came here to accomplish. Because to say it's a 90-year span, 30, 60, 90, you could say we're in the third act and like, okay, time is of the essence. There's no extra time to mess around. We really got to focus and make our dream come true, which is really why we incarnate, to make our dreams come true.
Yeah, and I find that as we clear all of this stuff out of the way, that we become much clearer receptacles, channels for the voice for love and, you know,
Absolutely.
beautiful spirit just coming through and guiding us, which is actually what birthed this World Miracle Peace experiment.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if I hadn't heard, you know, create this on May 7th. You know, and acted on it. But whenever I hear that suggestions, you know, I act because I know this is something wonderful coming in, and I need to follow up.
Well, it's divine guidance. I mean, you receive divine guidance to do this, and God knows the world needs more peace, or at least to take a minute, take a breath, and think about that. Really let that in, because, you know, then we could relegate, like, we're not all victims of life. If we want to choose peace, John and Yoko said it way back when during Vietnam in the 60s, you know, almost like war is a choice. So why don't we, war is over if we want it to be. And so we can make that choice collectively as a species.
And it starts within us. It starts within us. If we're at war with ourselves, you know, if we're driving with one foot on the brake,
Absolutely.
You know, and just really sabotaging ourselves in so many different ways. Well, it's time to stop and take a look.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And do something about it.
Absolutely. Well, that's true empowerment, to do something about it. And ultimately, though, I feel humans are at war with the planet. Unfortunately, I feel the misogyny on the planet and how women are treated globally. I was talking with some women the other day. It says, you know, as many problems as women feel they have here, if you go to Africa where they're still doing clitoridectomies, if you go to honor killings in the Mideast, you go anywhere else, it's like women, the females are still in the Stone Age everywhere else in the world, no matter how much. So I recommend people, if you want to learn about women's rights, go see Notorious RBG. We would have none of the Western protections for equal rights if it wasn't for this one little Jewish woman who challenged the whole Supreme Court in 1973 on gender bias. It's the most amazing documentary anyone will see. She is actually the foundation of the women's movement, and she took it to court. She convinced all male judges that they had a gender bias. And in 1973, she got a unanimous vote to include women with equal rights and equal protections as not an appendage of a man, but as a separate being from the masculine.
And what was her name?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes. The movie is by Magnolia Films. It's called Notorious RBG. I was in tears through the whole movie, how one woman was so astute. Here's this little diminutive Jewish woman who challenged the whole Supreme Court, and they have the actual tapes of her questioning the males about gender bias, which they didn't think existed. And she was so astute and so sharp. She changed actually the course of American history, and all women and men should really see this film because she's unbelievable, and she's still on the Supreme Court. She's one of our top liberal justices.
I know. Hopefully she'll remain there a while longer.
Let's start praying. She will be. She's not done. She is not done.
No, she isn't done, and it just shows. And I truly believe this, that one person,
yes,
who can make a huge difference on this planet.
Yes.
You know, and so when I received that inspiration to start this World Miracle Peace experiment, I said yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to do it, and I believe it because I know one person holding that space, holding that focus, and uniting a like-minded group of people in a field, a unified field of love and peace and miracles and consciousness. Wow, we are powerful. And the statistics are bearing this out.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. And consciousness is everywhere. So when we can affect one, we affect all. You know, one of the reasons I mentioned Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the feminine, you could say mankind is at war with Mother Earth. The way we're treating the earth and disrespecting the feminine really starts with the mother or Mother Earth. And I really feel a lot of these wars and lack of peace is men trying to prove themselves. So it's like they're making a mess of the sandbox to show who's got the biggest missile, whatever. And I mean, it's actually so primitive. I can't even believe in the 21st century we're still doing these pissing matches, so to speak.
I know.
While the world burns. You know, and what is it proving? How stupid we are as a species. We could be focused on sustainable development, education for all the same money that goes into weaponry and war can be used for education and healthcare, bettering the planet, you know. So we really have a lot of work to do as a species, but peace is the best way to start because all those resources will be available for sustainable life on Earth and to nurture the planet rather than destroy it in the process.
So tell me, Gary, what do you feel is the best way to access peace, to be more peaceful within?
I would say honoring the past. There's a bowing exercise that I have on my website. It's right on the home page. Is if you can bow to the past with gratitude and honoring gratitude, no matter what happened, however it happened, you're here because of it. So if we can view that as good, and just feel that inner body, whatever happened is horrible, and I didn't have a nice childhood at all, but somehow it gave me the strength, the power, and all the negatives that happened in our entire family system, whatever happened, we're here because of it. So something good came from it, and we are the good that came from it. Now we can be empowered to take that goodness, not focus on the negatives, and take that goodness into the world and create more good in the world, which is what you're doing. And that's how we're going to have peace, by seeing the good things in life rather than just focusing on the negative, divisive parts of life.
Oh, absolutely. And as we focus on the positive, we expand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
So,
that expands. That expands, especially with your show here, that expands to everyone who's either listening in or just, even if they just think, I love MarBeth, I'm going to just have it on while I do my emails, whatever. It's really going to broaden and inspire them, which is the goal, to get them to think about that and do something nice for themselves or someone else. I happened to be shopping. I was on vacation in Boothbay Harbor, and it was very white in Maine. It's very white. There was one black person in the store, and the storekeeper shushed him away. I was helping him. And I said to her, I said, guess what? Black Lives Matter. You're helping him first. And I said, this is where world peace starts. I don't let that racism that's so common in Maine, no one would notice it. I'm not saying Maine is racist, but it's just in the white culture of New England, so to speak. And he started laughing. He was so touched. He said, I cannot believe this happened. I said, well, if we're going to have world peace or end racism, it starts here. Just because I'm white, it doesn't mean I come first. And I said, I'll go to the back of the bus while you make your sale. You deserve it.
oh, that's sweet.
And everyone was laughing. Everyone in the store was, what just happened? And it was such an intimate, powerful little thing by just me letting a black person get rung up at the register before me. And the joy on him was just absolutely amazed. Yeah, and that's why we start peace, something small like that. At the cash register, when a black person, there was subtle racism that was being acted out right in front of me. And I said, no, I'll change this right now. He's first. And I was so happy to do that. And he has a white wife. So I joked with him and I said, next time your wife gives you a hard time, I said, ask her if it's white privilege or it's your wife talking.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the roots of all conflict, where do you think that they all come from?
People thinking that there's other. There really is no other. We're one species. Being in constellations for over 20 years, we all believe the same. We all have sadness. We all have joy. We all have trauma. We all have love. If we just saw everybody's we're the same. I mean, any one being is a microcosm of all human beings. If we just get over this, that I have to be more powerful, or I have to have a bigger missile, or I have to have a bigger house, and just judging ourselves. It comes from ego and insecurity. Why don't we just appreciate what we do have and share? That other people are in the same space we are, unsure about what's going to happen in their life. Will they be stricken by a death or a disease? And how will their friends help them cope with that? So we're all here to support each other while we're alive. And I think that would create peace right there, just caring about another human being.
That's a beautiful thing. I think gratitude is also
absolutely
so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know scientific studies have shown that just being grateful for 5 things a week and writing them down has increased people's salaries. It has increased their health, bettered their health, and just helped them in so many ways.
Yeah. And to teach your audience about negativity and stuff, if you look at somebody who's a world thought leader like Oprah Winfrey, would she be who she is today without those negative experiences that she had in her childhood? So I think the matter of the soul or spiritual choice people make with the negative, it can be used to destroy you or empower you. Oprah chose to empower. Someone else will choose, like a Charles Manson. They'll choose to destroy life with it. And that's their prerogative. That's their choice of how they're using their power, you could say. But so are the negatives really negative? If that would inspire someone like Oprah, who was definitely thrown under the bus by her own family and many other situations, to rise to the occasion to be a global thought leader. And it's our choice. She just made different choices with the negative stimuli than the average person would make. And I want to encourage our listeners to make the same choice. If we want outer peace, let's go for inner peace right now. It starts with us. Care about another human being. Give an extra $1 to that homeless person who has a little sign out, hungry for food. You'll feel so good inside that you have $1 and your stomach is full of food, and you just help another human being who has an empty stomach. Something that small will really make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. Well, giving and receiving, it's a spiritual law that giving and receiving are the same.
Yes,
so when we're giving to other people, we're giving to ourselves.
Absolutely, yeah. If I know one thing that's a bedrock belief I have, there is no other. There is no other. We try to make it a different race, a different income class, a different nationality. But ultimately, we're just all human beings who have fear about survival, basically. And if we just kind of get over that and realizing we're alive and we're here, so let's find the joy in that rather than creating more suffering with that, and have a pleasant Earth experience rather than the nightmare we seem to be embroiled in as a species.
So I guess the major question is to be constantly asking, how can I create more love here? How can I
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And it can be something as simple as somebody being aggressive in Whole Foods, being an organic vegetarian, I'm there more than not, and just letting them go in front of you. Hey, if you're in that much of a hurry, go ahead. Go ahead. I have an extra minute or whatever. Or asking somebody, hey, I'm really under a time crunch. Would you mind if I go? It's just that human contact and kindness to a stranger. I think that personally, I know the other belief I have is the highest form of love is being kind to a stranger. It really is, because you have no reason to be, and that's another human being who's in need, and you can open your heart to a total stranger, which I think that's the highest form of unconditional love. Now, if we could take that globally between nations and countries and belief systems of democracy and communism or this or that, I think we'd be set as a species. To live and let live should be the golden rule.
So where do boundaries fit in?
Boundaries, that's a tough one. So with constellations, I'm always creating a healthy boundary. So if you do have severe trauma in your life, I would say, like an honorable way, let's say with Auschwitz, I honor your suffering in Auschwitz. I'll just do a little exercise here sideways. I honor your suffering in Auschwitz. You remain my ancestors. I love you. I honor you. I'll create the best life I can for you in your memory. And then you turn away from that, facing your future with that honor and respect of the past, so you can do something good in their memory. And we actually, it's a joke, but it's true, we all come from a long line of dead people. So there's a lot of people we can honor and respect and just bow to. And it's not bowing in subservience, it's more bowing with honor and respect. Wow, whatever you suffered, you still chose to have the hope to be sexual, to create a new being, whether it's my mother, father, grandfather that led to my existence. So no matter what you did, at least you procreated, and I'm here because of that. So if you can't honor anything else, just honor the procreation, that you're here. You have a body to experience the whole universe because of that one act. And I sincerely believe that that one act of that egg and sperm fertilizing gave us the whole universe on a platter. So what are we going to do with that gift? It's actually a gift that we've been given to manifest. Do we want to spend our life hating our progenitors? Is that really going to serve us to hate our progenitors? No. It's like, wow, okay, I received a gift. Well, it's,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Wow, Gary, thank you so much. This has really been so beautiful. I love all of our conversations.
Absolutely.
Such a wonderful, beautiful, warm, loving soul. I just truly love and honor you. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you so much.
Really, really looking forward to your meditation.
Yes, it's gonna be big and encompassing, but with just to spread unconditional love throughout the whole world. You know,
on 9/11, what a
on 9/11, I want to do something really positive on 9/11 to uplift and show how we're all interconnected at the same time.
Well, you are definitely the perfect person to be leading it on 9/11. Thank you so much for participating in this project. I just adore you, and thank you so much, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste to everyone out there. Love and peace.
Love and peace, everyone, and many blessings.